Hey everybody, it's Michelle LaVore and
Devin LaVore
coming at you. And we're so glad that you're here, and we just pray that you guys are greatly encouraged by the Lord, and just that
As
you can,
always.
Glean from what we have to share that the Lord has shared with us. And we also just want to give a huge thank you for everyone who continues to give to us. Truly just a great blessing.
Just thank you guys.
We appreciate all of you.
Lord.
And also, we are support-based, so if you would like to give to us, you can. We have a PayPal link below, and you can just click that, and it would just be really awesome.
It would be really awesome.
So, yeah, it's been a little while.
Awesome.
Always.
Until such a time as something really awesome happens.
Yeah. But
which is coming. But yeah.
So, it's been a little while, been a minute since our last video.
Well, today is our week in this room.
Yes.
We've been in this room
here for
a week.
1 week, which is kind of crazy. It's awesome. And
it's been kind of a rest week. After we made that one video, felt like the Lord was like, okay, take the week off.
Just rest.
You got to transition.
And it really has. It's been really the Lord transitioning us and establishing what He has for us in this time and place. And it's been really amazing. God has just been speaking so much. I feel like just in this week alone, He's like spoken so much to us. It's like literally we've been recording our actual God times, which we don't do, but it's definitely been like, probably we've recorded at least 3 or 4 of our God times because of just the amount of things that are coming out. And it's like, I literally cannot journal everything. I just have notes. Like
we're drinking from the fire hydrant.
Like minute notes in my journal.
We're trying to get cups from the waterfall, and we're just going. It's we can't handle this. You know what I mean?
But it's been a lot of just like personal things for us. I mean, it always is personal when it's talking with the Lord, but He does also share things that for the greater whole of all of His people. But
it's been crazy.
But it's just been really awesome. And one of the things that I feel like the Lord's really touched on has to do with like cycles of time, and just like He really has opened our eyes to see His cycle of time.
Well, you're about to break out the chart, aren't you? You're about to break out the chart.
No, but just the cycle.
God gave us a chart. It's crazy. It's like God time calculus. We're like, wow, this is amazing.
But it's like, God works in each of our lives differently, but He also works in cycles. And you see that throughout the Bible, like Moses' life is a really great example because it's like divided into 3 segments of 40 years. And you just see how God was working in each of those 40 years differently in Moses' life. And even how we've been talking about recently where I really felt like God was showing us like we're in this cycle of 7 years worth of time, but that it was starting with it was like the creation story, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and so on. And so we're in day 4, which is all about establishment, and God
2020 is day 4. I mean, the stuff that God was sharing with us, it gets deep. Yeah. The Lord was sharing that was one of the things He shared with me this past week. It's like, Devin, I could take you into the clockworks of things, and you just be like, wow. Yeah. How does this work? And God's like, I made it all. I set it all into motion. You know what I mean? And that's why you got to know I'm not ignoring your prayers. Yes. I take your prayers. Like, yes, I take it, and I put it in time. And so as the cog of the clock rolls around, there's going to come a time where that word is fulfilled. Just because it doesn't happen at the exact minute and second of the hour of God time on His clock that you want it to or our clock, that doesn't mean that it's not true or you haven't heard or anything like that. It's just, no. The answer is yes. I already put it in my word that the answer is yes. Now wait for the manifestation of that yes to come. Yeah.
And so, like you were saying with just the idea of the clock and how God, He's working so many things together.
So many parts.
And I have really seen, I feel like God's shown us as we've gone on this journey, just how things are cycling and working. And at the beginning of of this part of our journey in 2017, we were definitely like so missing the boat when it came to like the timing and thinking, because it was like that. We were seeing visions and hearing like promises and all of that, and you're thinking like, all right, we're gonna see it right now, like here's the fulfillment right now. And then as we've moved on, God's really kind of shown us like how he was moving, what he was talking about. And so then this week, God, I just really feel like really just opened things up about the times and seasons that we're in. And it was just really cool because you had, I think it was last week or sometime, you really felt like God was saying like we're in the dawn. It's like the beginning of dawn. And, you know, it's that place where you're starting to see some light, and you know,
it's
the
like
sun
5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, like the sun is
about
getting
5,
ready
10.
to come up. and so it's kind of those, it's still kind of in the darkness, but you see the light coming.
Yeah.
And I was just, and so God just kind of brought that up again this week and even this morning actually. And it's like, wow, that is really where we're at. As far as the timing of what the Lord is doing. We've been
even yesterday
in this,
morning, he gave a specific word with that phrase in it. You know?
And it's like we're in this year, specifically. This year is like the 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock hour. If sunrise was at 6, you know, it's that 5 o'clock hour where things are starting to get lighter and brighter, and you're like, whoa. But then at 6 o'clock, the sun is like, boom, I'm awake. Here I am. Yeah. You know, that kind of thing. And
it's only going to get brighter from here.
Exactly. And we really felt like God was just showing like that's the hour that you're in. That's the time and season that you're in, is this dawning. And that the Lord is moving in that direction of the sun being fully just up. And you're coming into your morning. And that was one of the things that I thought was so cool, is that we really felt like God was saying, if you think of a clock, you know, and you have the 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it, you know, goes all the way around. And it's 12 hours in a day. And we really felt like God was saying like these last, because we're in our 12th year of marriage. This is our 12th year. And but God was like, I started this when you got married, that first year, and basically from year 1 through currently, you've been in that, and there was evening. And we have been in the evening hours, the nighttime hours this whole time.
For almost 12 years.
For almost 12 years.
I'm like, you mean we ain't even lived a day?
No.
Like, nope.
Nope.
Like, what?
But God was like, but joy comes in the morning, and that we are getting ready to go in and enter into joy. Our
morning, which is a word the Lord gave me. He's like, you're about to enter into your morning. And I was thinking, oh, that's awesome. Now, even then, what was that? I don't know how long ago that was, but I was thinking, oh, it's this month. Great. Or maybe next month. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like, man, that was like a year ago. You know what I'm saying? Apparently, I didn't hear from the Lord. Wrong.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you didn't hear from the Lord.
You are about to enter into your morning when it's been 11 years and you're getting ready to go into that 12th year. And so
you got to see it the way God sees it.
Yeah.
If God says it, then it's true. It doesn't matter our time frame and how we receive time and how this brain and this heart processes time. If God says a thing, it's true. Just take it. And receive it.
And so we're going to be entering into the morning. And so it's like as this year continues to go, it will become lighter and lighter and lighter. Meaning we will continue to see more and more of the fulfillment of God's word in our life as we continue to move through this year. I know that some people were asking kind of about like the pregnancy thing as well, which I feel like
process
it's very similar, right? It's like you become pregnant, but then it's not like you have the baby right then. There's a progression. You know, the baby grows, develops, and then you have the baby after 9 months.
Yep.
And so it's kind of that same idea, like the sun is coming up upon our hearts and our land and all of that, and that his promises are going to be fulfilled. And and so that's just kind of where we really feel like God is saying, like, we're at this point where we're entering, it's the dawn time, and it is the time where his light is rising, and that it is actually a great time of celebration and rejoicing, because it's like, whoa, the sun is coming up. We are about to enter into this time of day, this time of light, this time of great joy.
And we feel like, for us personally, based on just the timeline that God's given us, we were just blowing it with the time so much, but we kept going. And God's like, hey, you guys are doing great. Here, let me show you some stuff. I'm like, we're terrible at this. I know. You're ready to hear.
Yeah.
You don't think you're great. You don't think you got it. You don't think you've been completely demolished and humbled. Now I can speak to you about it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, thank you, because we still want to know, you know. But we feel like the next 12 years for us.
Yeah.
Because we've been going 12 years. We feel like God's like the next 12 years.
Yeah.
We don't know what happens after that 12 years. I'm not even asking right now.
Yeah.
But the next 12 years, oh, yeah, starting in 21, that will be a new 12-year cycle. But this 12th year that we're in right now, it's interesting because we've been married 11 years. That's the number of like transition. 11 can mean a lot of things, right? But 11 is just like the time to establish the government that comes, which 12 is the number of government. And so we've been in this, even today, just before this video, it's been an establishing of a government type of thing that God's doing in our life. And okay, this is how we want to do things. This is how we want to do this way. And it's just, you know, because, you know, as you plan, you can get going in your plan, but then some parts of the plan can be kind of loose. And God's like, no, let's tighten that up, you know. And so it's like, so that it can be ready to really fly, you know, once the new year hits. And it's like, man, when God said this is the time, this is when you're going to start to show, that has been happening for real.
Yeah.
You know, and there's more to show. You know, you don't get pregnant and you get to this certain belly exposure at about 4 months and you just stay there. No, you just keep getting bigger until that thing comes out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so we really feel like this is the birth of the promised year. And the Lord said, you know, when we get into our home, and our home with a garden, thank you. When we get into that, God said to me a while ago, he's like, that's the last thing that happens. And I feel like we're in that year of the last thing that happens. You know, where the holding the baby in your hand, that's the last thing that happens in the pregnancy process.
Yeah.
You know, you go through a lot of different things throughout the pregnancy process, but the last thing that happens is the thing that you've been waiting for, the thing you get pregnant for to begin with.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, boom, you have the baby, and it's like, yeah. And then you have that 4th trimester where you're just like not doing much. Yeah, you're just recovering.
You're adjusting to life with a baby.
Right, which is kind of like what this week has been. It's almost a prophetic thing of the future. It's like we're adjusting to this new place and a new schedule and a new thing, and it's just been really awesome.
Well, and last night we really felt like...
Lost my train of thought there.
That's all right.
And you jumped in and rescued. Thank you.
I'll get your train back on.
No edits necessary.
No, but it was really cool because last night God reminded you of a vision that you had back in 2017.
Oh my gosh.
And I feel like it just really even brought more clarity to what God has been doing just for this week alone. Because one of the other things that the Lord talked to us about immediately as soon as we were into this room has been the tree of life and fruit, bearing fruit and the leaves and the river of life. And he's really just brought that out.
It's been amazing.
But he was talking about...
I feel like we've been on a retreat with the Lord.
Yeah.
I've had so many encounters with the Lord this week that I'm like, wow, this normally doesn't happen but like once a month in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like they've been happening like every day.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this is amazing. Can we just do this like forever?
Yeah. But yeah, so one of the things that we were doing, I think we actually mentioned it in our last video, was about, you know, we have these we made these apples, and we put just like the things that the promise, some of the promises that the Lord has given to us, just like some things that were like, okay, desires of the heart
to believe for and
all of that. And so
yeah.
We literally created a tree with apples on it, because we felt like God was like, yeah, just put a picture up of those things. And so
I'm looking at it right now.
So we have it on the door, but it was just so there was this picture of apples, right? And so we had all of that, and then also combined with everything that the Lord's been sharing with us about the time and the season that we're in. And then we were reminded of the vision that you had in 2017, which, would you mind just, you can take over and share your vision that you had.
I love it. You're so precious. So precious. So, yeah, well, I had this vision, and as previously noted, but it was a really interesting vision. Even in the vision, I was confused, but as I was seeing the vision, the Lord was showing me I was confused. But the person, the me in the vision, was also confused, because we were on this cart, and it was an apple cart. And it was drawn by a horse or something, and there was a guy up there moving. I think it was the Lord. And we were on this cart, and we had all these apples in our hand. We just had just a bunch. We were like cradling all these apples. I mean, it didn't even make sense how you could cradle that many apples. Only a vision can do that, but only in a dream, Yeah. You try to do that in real life, there's apples falling all over the place. And we had them. I think it was just me and Michelle. I mean, the kids weren't there, but obviously they're included in it, right? We're kind of, trucking along on this cart, and we're going through this apple orchard, and all the trees in this apple orchard were leafless and fruitless. But they were there. They were these brown trees, and it was kind of like a dawning. I thought it was like an evening sun setting, but now I realize it was a dawning of things. It's representing the time frame that these things would be happening in. And see, you don't ever throw away anything the Lord shares with you. Just hold on to it and see what the time frame is that He unveils as things happen. Yeah. But don't throw it away because the time frame that you thought was going to happen didn't happen or whatever. That's one of the number one things that really trips us up. How God does things in His time frame. But we were going through this apple orchard, and I'm looking, and all of these apples are on the ground, and they're rotten, and some of them had those great big brown crater spots in them and everything, and I was confused. Both me here and me in the vision were holding our apples, and we were excited, but then there was my excitement was interrupted by looking. I'm like, wait a minute, all those other apples are just on the ground. And I think there were some people in the orchard that, I don't know, they almost look like homeless people that shouldn't have been there. That's interesting. I forgot about that part. But I was just looking, and I'm happy, but I'm going, oh, that's messed up. What's going on? And then, as we just kept going, I mean, we were right on the edge. Here's night and that evening dawning thing, and then on the other side was complete day. It was just it was like a plane of separation between the nighttime and the daytime. So, and I think that's what the Lord was still saying there. It's going to be night and day. When you cross over, it's just going to be night and day. And the funny thing is we had all these apples. And then I felt now, did you want to expound on that?
No, you can keep.
And so I felt like the Lord was just saying, I realized that those are the people of God. That orchard are the people of God, and all those apples on the ground were all the promises and desires that people had, but because the time frame wasn't matching up, the circumstances seemed exact opposite. Oh, you've poured oil on my head and I'm going to be king, but now I'm being chased by my father. You gave me these great visions, but now I'm being thrown in a pit by my brothers. Those kind of things were happening in people's lives, and so they gave up, and they let it go. They're like, this isn't the Lord. This isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
And so they just let it go, and then they ended up going to pursue their own things, and they became lifeless, fruitless trees, because it's a tree of life, so it represents the people of God's life individual lives. And they're just like, nope. And so they're existing. That's it. Mm-hmm. They exist as a tree, but there's no leaves on the tree. There's no fruit on the tree. You know, they're not receiving any sunlight. Mm-hmm. They're not, you know, God said, let there be light. Light was Jesus coming into being. You know, the light of the world. You know, there was no light. There was no truth shining on their life that would help them to maintain through those difficult times. And me and Michelle, we were just on the cart. And there were other people with us, too. It wasn't just me and her, but there was very few. Mm-hmm. And we didn't really, I wasn't even paying attention because I was so excited about, look at all these apples we got from the apple orchard. I was like a kid, you know? Mm-hmm. And then we just crossed over. I was confused by what I saw, and then we crossed over. Mm-hmm. It was just like, whoa. And so it kind of ties into what God's been doing with this whole apple tree. Yeah,
because God's really,
tree of life thing.
One of the things that, and
that's a vision from literally 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And we were like, I don't know what that means.
Being reminded
Nothing's happened as a result of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and being reminded of it last night, I was like, whoa, this makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Like, what the Lord is doing, and whoa, we had the apples, and I'm serious, God has been speaking to just the promises over our life so much this last week, and just praying for it, and really just, giving just that continual, courage and strength to just keep believing, keep moving forward. And it's just like, wow, Lord, you're so awesome in that. And just that it's like, yes, you're going to receive the apples, the promises, and you're going to be full, overflowing full as we cross over. And that crossing over, I really believe, is that into that new place, into the sunshine time, you know? And it's like, whoa, there's going to be that moment where it is daytime now. It's daylight.
And it's like, oh, so you're saying that basically nothing's going to happen till 2021? No. Trust me, stuff's happening with us every day. And it's amazing. It is very different than the last 3 years. It's just super different. And this whole promise process being related to as a pregnancy, it is really happening. Mm-hmm. It really is. And when we were back in our other room before we moved here, our transitionary room, and I was like, just really, really cool things were happening there. We've made videos about some of this stuff, because not everything that happens in a personal life that's going to be shared, But the Lord, I was like, man, this is so awesome. This is so great. And the Lord was like, man, you ain't even felt the baby kick yet. Yeah. And I was like, excuse me? Yeah. What exactly does that mean? What's that going to look like in reality? Like the baby kicking, the promise kicking. Yeah. You can really feel it. It's just like, because having had 4 of them yourself, once you feel the baby kick, it is like I don't know, it's a turning point in the pregnancy, and you're just like, oh my gosh, he's kicking. And then from that moment on, it's like, is he kicking? Is he kicking?
Yeah. Do you feel anything?
And you're like, Devin, come here. Put your hand right there. And I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. You know what I'm saying? From that point on, it's like, it's almost like a dividing line. I'm not saying that is the dividing line of that vision, but it's a similar. Mm-hmm. It's like from that point on, once they start kicking, they pretty much move all the time, especially if you're our 7-year-old. Once he started kicking, man, he's still kicking. He's 7 years old. Yeah. He's still moving around.
All the time.
Elias, stop moving. He just be moving all the time and just ready to go. And so I'm just like, wow. So these pictures that God gives us, they have an actual manifestation moment in this year, this time, this day, this month. There's some stuff that has happened to us this past week that was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. I had to take an Uber into Franklin to get something, and the Lord met me inside this Uber. Mm-hmm. Not only was he answering, he was answering questions that we literally asked him 2 years ago, on that trip, at that time, in that way. It's like, man, you just got to trust God and let him do what he's going to do and believe that he is working things out. Mm-hmm. And don't whine and cry and boo-hoo until it comes to pass. Because if you do that, you're probably gonna be one who drops the apples anyway. And it's like, you don't want to do that. And it's like, God's met with me, and it was like one of the most amazing things that I have experienced in a very, very, very long time. I'm talking a long time. And I'm just like, wow, this was incredible. I felt amazing. Felt like I was at a amusement park with my family, and everything was going perfectly right. And it just felt good. And I felt like the Lord was like, he shared some stuff with us personally in regards to that. And I was like, wow. And that's the kind of stuff that's happening. And it's like, that's not even the baby kicking. You know what I mean? That's just like, I'm just like, what does the baby kicking mean? Like the promise, because, you know, the baby represents the promise. It's kicking. Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, there's so many different elements to the metaphor that have a manifested place in reality that we're just super excited to see. And we feel like we're in a time frame now where literally every month we're going to be seeing something. We're going to be seeing different fruit. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, well, because the Lord he's been talking a lot about the tree of life. And if you read, there's many scriptures, but Ezekiel 47, Revelation chapter 22, it talks about how the tree of life, it bears fruit every month. And especially
planted by the waters of life.
Yeah, planted by the streams and the river. And so, but this year in particular, we've really just noticed this pattern that the Lord has been developing. And each month, God has really been just doing like one particular fruit-bearing kind of thing. You know, we started off January with worship, and that's really God his heart was just worship, worship, worship. The next month was love, which I find was so interesting because
it was February.
Well, it's the month of February, but also God, he knows what he's doing, people. So at the beginning of the year,
that's her way of saying, just listen to me for a second, okay?
So right at New Year's Eve, God gave us like a 1, 2, 3. He was like, when you go into the new land, I want you to worship. Build an altar for the Lord. Then I want you to love one another. And the result of that is that there's a pushing out of darkness. So, first 3 months of the year.
Oh my gosh.
We have January, which is all about worship.
Yep. We even made a video about it called Build Me an Altar.
Yeah. February came. Literally, February 1st, it was just God was speaking to us about love. Yep. Okay, March comes, and we transition.
Well, and it was about loving one another.
Yeah, loving one another.
It was that number 2, and we were just like, that just sounded wrong. But anyway, it was that number 2. But anyway, it was about loving one another, and it was all about family dynamic and relationship and communicating and even fighting through some tough things for the sake of loving one another and holding on to the intimacy of relationship, you know?
So then we go into month number 3, which truly it was about pushing out the darkness, and it came through shaking.
And that's when we were in that other room.
And that's when we were in the other room. And at
the end of each month was a transitional thing that was happening.
Yep. So,
you know, this is crazy.
And so it's just like, here's
at the end of March, we're moving into this one. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's crazy. Okay, I'll stop. Go. So here's God. What's he doing? What's he saying?
He's saying, you're supposed to be listening to me.
I'm listening now. Maybe they're listening too.
And so this month God has really started talking now about just the tree of life and the river of life. And so I just think that it's like, wow, Lord, what are you're going to continue to move on this. But I just find it so interesting how he did the 1, 2, 3, and he was like, this is what I'm starting out with, and literally the first 3 months, that's what he was talking about.
That's the first trimester.
And that was the first trimester. Now we've entered into the second trimester, and God's going to be doing something,
which will be 3 months,
every single month.
Yeah.
You know,
I think someone asked us that. Is this going to be a literal process? Yes. I do believe it is.
I believe so.
I do believe it is.
Yeah, we both believe.
So are we not getting into our home until like what, the end of September or something like that? Probably.
Yeah.
But at this point, we're like totally cool with it.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, when Sarah and Hannah got pregnant, I'm sure they were not in a hurry to have the baby.
Yeah, you're really just trying to
they're
enjoy.
Like, yay! No, I'm not rushing this process. Yeah. No, I'm gonna take every second.
Yeah,
I waited too long for this to be in a hurry to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And so, yeah, you really do. I was even.
Why am I holding my tummy? I'm a dude.
But I think I was telling you, I feel like we're in that part where you just like, okay, Lord, just slow down time. Like, we don't need to like rush this, and that's actually something the Lord spoke to us. He's like, you're not going to go out with haste.
And you're going to walk this out.
And you're just going to walk this out.
He gave that to us over a year ago.
That's really what the Lord wants to do. He's like, I want you to enjoy this and just marinate. That's why we're sitting in the oil for 6 months. And we're going to have 6 months of spices. And even I'm like, I don't even know what that's going to look like. But Lord, I'm
it's gonna be good.
Really excited.
You ever been to Carrabba's?
Yeah.
And they give you that oil and spices with the bread? I live.
But it's just like that's...
Who's gonna know what reference that is? What's his name? Hide your wife, hide your kids. I forget the guy's name. Anyway,
I don't know, but
we love that guy.
But it's just like that's what the Lord is doing right now, and so we really do. I truly believe like God, when He's saying like you're in the pregnancy process, He means a literal 9 months. Obviously, even with pregnancy, you don't know the day that the baby is going to be born.
You don't.
But you know that you're going to have a baby. God is going to bring it to fulfillment. Mm-hmm. And I just believe wholeheartedly that that's what the Lord is doing. He is going to bring it to the fulfillment. And I really believe that it's going to, He has us in this process. He's always told us from the beginning. In 2017, He said there's going to be a 4th trimester.
Yep.
And I really believe those last 3 months are the 4th trimester. Of where we're receiving our promise, and then there's just that enjoyment of the promise before He continues to move forward.
It's after you've received it. Mm-hmm. It's the after you've received it time. And I felt like the Lord gave us the number 40 to say it's going to be a full 40 weeks. It's going to be a full term. It's not going to be late. It's not going to be early. It's going to be a full term. And it's like, that's exactly what you want.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you could be like our daughter. She was born at 37 weeks. But it's just like, no, go ahead. Pack on them extra pounds.
Yeah.
That's really what you're doing those last
you're just fattening
several weeks is you're just fattening up. And I'm like, Lord, fatten us up. Let's just go. Spice us up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
saying? and so for me personally, I think this year I am truly just enjoying this year so far, and just like, God, you are truly amazing. Your timing is impeccable.
We're literally enjoying every day.
Yeah.
Now, is our financial situation any different? Nope. Do we still need money every week? Yes, we do. Mm-hmm. But I'm not stressing out about it.
Yeah.
I'm really not, because I just know where we're at. Lana Voster came out with a word, just like you just read it last night, right?
Yeah.
About like the clock. She said it's time to come out, and then like those people that were coming out, they had a clock in their hand.
They were carrying a clock because they knew the time and season in which they were in, and they also had like lamps that were
full of oil,
and they were burning bright or something.
And I feel like that's totally us. Mm-hmm. That's totally us, and that's just I'm sure that applies to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But for us personally, we're like, that's us. That's why we are not freaking out like we used to do the past 3 years and trying to figure out, oh gosh, how are we gonna make it? Sometimes we get low, and I'm just like, oh well, Lord, I know you're gonna provide for us. And then someone will give, or a couple someones will give, and be like, wow, that's just the amount we needed for right now, because we can go to Costco and whatever. But I'm not stressing out about. Am I right?
Yeah.
That's part of the showing. See, that's part of the showing that you guys don't see, because you don't live with us. You know?
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm just not concerned. I am genuinely not concerned, because I know this time that we are really in the promise process. I felt like, and God just showing us so much stuff to show us in references of time. Can I break out the thingy? see? Can you see this? Can anybody make it out?
Probably not super well. That's kind of like our clock here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah.
But it's
in this time, this is what, 2009, 10, 11, and 12. That's when we were in Indiana. 2013, 14, 15, 16. That's when we were in Kansas City. KCMO coming at you. And then now we're here in Nashville. And now look at that, because I felt like the Lord was like saying, you've been going through a 4-4-4 marriage. And it's like 4 years here, 4 years here, 4 years here, to bring about exposure and victory. And during that time of exposure and victory, it's only literally been an evening. The whole thing has been a 12 hours, and there was evening and there was morning. God's like, you haven't even experienced morning yet in your marriage, have you? I'm like, no, that's when the reward and the recompense and the twofold recompense and the double honor, that's when all of that happens. Hallelujah. But it's like, but within this time, there were like, all of these represent 12s. That's a year, that's all 12s. And then there's 3 4s. It's just, the numbers can get kind of nutty, right? But then in this particular deal, this is a day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, but the whole thing is day 1 and only half of it. You see how crazy it gets? It gets crazy. I mean, you can take each section and segment it up in all these different ways. And God was like, see, that's what I was trying to tell you. Yeah. So you can segment this stuff up, and you're trying to think about it in a linear way. You have to think about it in a multi-dimensional way. Yeah. Time is multi-dimensional. That's why Jesus can prophesy a word, and it actually applies to 2 different time frames. It applies to 70 AD, but it also applies to when he returns. It'll be the exact same application. Yeah. And it's just like, wow, this is amazing. I want more. Come on. Yes. You know?
Yeah.
You know?
And I also wanted to say, because I think like it's been, all the time stuff has been awesome, but I also wanted to say, because we are in that really it's like the last hour of the morning, and I was reminded of the 11th hour, and like the 11th hour servants.
Everyone been seeing 11s like crazy.
We have been seeing 11s like crazy.
I mean, like we've never seen them before.
Yeah, so many. But I really feel like, because there are people who their trees the leaves are fallen, they're bare, their apples have fallen, and they're kind of rotting. But it's still like there is still time. Like they're with the Lord, He always is ready. He brings restoration and life, and it's like, hey, this is the time. If you feel like you're in a place where, man, I've just allowed these apples to fall, and and they've come off the tree, and I don't know, I've kind of given up. That's really what it is. It's almost like, well, that's never going to happen.
When you look at the orchard, you can see a lot of people did that. Yeah. Many people did. I don't believe it anymore.
It's like understandable in the sense of it's been a long night.
There's no condemnation.
Condemnation. But it's like as you see the light coming, let it be a light to your heart, and let it hit your heart, and let it spark a fire. Because Jesus said, I think it's Luke 12:49, where he was just like, he is coming to kindle a fire, but is there going to be the kindling ready? Is it going to be ready for him to light on fire?
And he's like, I wish that I could kindle it right now, but basically he couldn't.
Yeah. Or it's like when Jesus says, but when I come, is there going to be faith on the earth?
And that's Luke 18:8 right there.
And it's like, let us be ones that are like, yes, we have faith. We're going to believe. Go ahead and jump in the apple cart.
Hook me up with my apples, bruh.
Yeah, come on in.
Hook me up with my apples.
And join those and take your apples.
You know what?
Even if they are, looking moldy, go pick them up off the ground.
The Lord can touch them things and just renew them right there, as if they've never been rotten at all.
Exactly, and because it's not too late. So I just wanted to make sure to say that, because there might be some people watching this that's like, it's too late for me.
It is not.
It is not.
Are you alive? Are you breathing? Can you breathe? Are you watching this video? Then there's hope, okay?
I'm thinking about the bereaved family.
They're going to run out of people in a minute. No, Mr. Brown, not right now. Okay. Now, I thought what was cool, why was I so super happy? It's because I had the apples. Literally every apple that we have up there is a desire that we want. That means we got it. Mm-hmm. We received it. Ooh, man, it makes me want to put up more apples on that tree. But you can only do that even by the Spirit. Mm-hmm. You got to submit your desires to the Lord and let Him edit. You know, it's almost like catching a bunch of fish. You can catch a bunch of desires out of your heart, but you got to take them to the shore and sort out the good ones from the bad ones, right?
And God's the one who's going to do the sorting.
Let God do the sorting. So I thought it was really cool that before we crossed over from that night to day, we already had the apples. Yeah. We already had the desires. So there wasn't like a crossing over into the night and day thing. It's oh, yeah. See, because I think that, and then we get our promises. Mm-hmm. So we get because I think that crossing over from night to day, because on the day side, there was a castle up ahead. It was a paradise land. Paradise. There were no dirt, there were no highways or anything like that. It was just one little singular road that led up to this castle. And I think that represents the last 3 months of the year. I really do, to prepare you for you're really in it now. This is the morning, and now you're getting ready to go into the day.
Yes.
Because you can have that, 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and you're not. It's still the morning. It's a fresh morning. You got a couple hours there where it's fresh morning, but you get to about 12, 1 o'clock, it's full blown daytime. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's what 2021 is going to be. But I felt like it was just so awesome that during this promise process, it's like you received all these apples, and then when you cross that threshold, it's like, I believe that's like the reception of the big promise. Whatever that might be, and whoever this might apply to, like with prophetic things, He's the prophet. Mm-hmm. God's the prophet. You're just you're prophet junior. Mm-hmm. You're prophetic utterance secretary.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So like for us personally, we really believe like it's a lot of the apples are the desires of our hearts fulfilled. Part of it is our road trip, going to
and
these
the things
places
we need before we go on a road trip, which is what we kind of touched on in our last video. I'm like, that's a lot of money.
And but then just that all of it, that part of it, because that's something that the Lord has promised us. He was like, you're going to be going on this road trip. But for us personally, that crossing that threshold is a literal crossing threshold of us going into our home.
Into our long-awaited home.
So how that looks for every person is totally different. But that's
whatever that means.
But for us, that's really what it means. It's like we're going to be collecting all these apples, all these things that the Lord has been like, yes, I put on your heart to gather these things, and here I'm giving them to you. Even for our kids, like they're gonna have their own apple baskets full and all of that.
You just see Elia carrying this big basket of apples, just going, "I'm loving life right now."
Yeah. But then ultimately, that breaking through and entering into that daylight is receiving for us our home, and then it's like we will have that time
to just live in it for a little while.
And continue.
Still be making videos, I'm sure.
Oh, yes.
We'll still be making videos, being like, I hope y'all are happy out there. We are. I'm just kidding.
But,
because it's not just for, it's like in Lana Vosser's word, she said that she saw thousands upon thousands
coming out, hidden ones coming out.
Hidden ones, right. Come on now, if you're watching this video, you're probably one of the hidden ones.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And so it's like there's going to be just a multitude of people that are coming up that God is lifting up and lifting out.
Yeah.
And
who've
so
humbled themselves.
You will see the Lord just continuing to move in your life as you go forward.
Greater things are yet to come.
Mm-hmm. And it really is just that dawning where it's getting brighter. I think that's part of like the whole seeing, you're going to see more clearly. Well, that's what happens when the sun starts to come up. You see everything around you more clearly. It's not so dim and dark.
And that's why I don't like night driving, to be totally honest, because I can't see very well.
You can't.
Sometimes I'm just like, is there something wrong with my vision? I mean, we just got these glasses a month ago. I still can't see, And I'm just afraid that something's gonna happen that I have no control over. And I'm like, I didn't see it. But in the daytime, there's no fear. See, and with the financial thing for me, I think in the daytime, this next 12 years, I'm gonna have no fear. The fear that's been haunting me through these night years, particularly doing what we're doing now, where we are completely at the mercy of God and whoever He touches to give to us. Because we know we don't try to manipulate or anything like that, but we do ask. And you guys know, for those of you who have been with us for a while, you know the journey that's been for us. And it's like, but I believe on the day side, I'm just not gonna, and I'm starting to experience that even now. Just like, there's no need to fear. But I think there will be a physical no need to fear. Because our river banks will be overflowing. The banks of our river will be overflowing. Can I get an amen out there from someone?
Amen. That's gonna.
Can I get an agreement?
Open. The floodgates are gonna be open.
Let the banks be full. Let it be flooded.
Yes. Let it be the opposite of the economy now.
Shoot, we gonna be givers here in a minute.
Yes.
Who need a blessing?
Yeah.
Because that's what we do. I mean, we give what we can, and this is how the Lord's put us in a position to give. But as a couple, we just love to actually give, like actual giving things. It don't matter whether it's flowers, whether it's a card, whether it's like, something that will like, oh, you have a need, let's bless you, let's take care of that. That's just kind of how we are,
Yeah.
But God's like, no, I'm going to put you in a position now. And it's like, oh, okay, great. And it's just been working on us, but it's also been a blessing for us. This has been so awesome because God's amazing. God's amazing.
Yeah. So I think that's really what we have to share with you guys today. I know
there is a ton in the barn. Let me tell you, a ton. And some stuff we may not share for like 5 years. If we're still doing this in 5 years.
Who knows what the Lord has. But
who knows?
But so I just pray that you guys are blessed.
Yes.
And hopefully just like, just pray that it even gives, the Lord uses this to bring more clarity into your own life. Maybe He will show you the cycles of time that He has put upon your life, because not everybody's is the same,
Right.
With how He cycles around and what He uses and things like that. But I just pray that you guys receive more clarity as we continue to see the sun rise, as we continue to see God bring us from this evening time, this night time, and bring us into our morning where there's great joy.
We're going to go from morning to morning.
Exactly. Where there is great joy, great delight, and we're able to see the Lord more clearly. And I really think that's what the Lord is doing. He's like, you are going to see me, and it will make you rejoice even more. The more you recognize how much I really am involved in your life, how much I've carefully planned and put together every piece of your life, every moment of your day, and you will just see and be truly astounded and amazed by who God is as your Father, as your friend, as your Savior, and the lover of your soul. And so, I just pray that you guys are blessed. And unless you had something else to say?
No addendum.
All right. Well,
I think my addendum inbox is empty.
So until next time, guys, we will see you later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Love you. Always have, always will.